If you're looking for the best smartphone for photography, then chances are you'll be considering a Samsung. After all, we found that the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra was fantastic and ticked a huge number of boxes. But it's hard to get round the fact that it costs a lot of money, and its dimensions also make it tricky to handle. In which case, perhaps the standard Samsung Galaxy S23 could be the answer. You still get an excellent smartphone, but for a lot less outlay, and for something that will certainly fit in your pocket a lot easier. If you want something that falls in the middle, there's the S23 Plus, which offers the same camera specifications as the S23, but has a larger screen. If you do decide against the S23 Ultra, you will be sacrificing a few camera specs, which we'll go over in detail in due course. But perhaps that could be worth it for the average photographer. Let's see if we can find out. Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra versus Samsung Galaxy S23 camera specs. We might expect there to be a bigger difference in low light between these two models, but in real-world shooting, it's hard to spot too much between them. The 1x lens seems to show a tiny bit more detail, but there's really not much in it. The ultra-wide lenses seem to be more or less exactly the same. The bigger differences come with the zoom options. Both the S23 Ultra and the S23 use a crop of the main 1x sensor when light is extremely low if you select the 3x lens. Here, the S23 Ultra is a little better, especially if you compare the two side by side. As we'd expect, the 10x option in low light is pretty poor with the S23. This is a digital crop of the 3x lens. The S23 Ultra's 10x option in low light is also a crop of the 3x lens, but the results produced seem to be much better. Both of these models boast a lot of great specifications for photographers. The S23 has a triple lens setup, putting it in line with most of the other flagships on the market, while the S23 Ultra goes one better with a fourth lens. So that means you get a 0.6x, 1x, and 3x with the S23, or all of those with the S23 Ultra plus the addition of a 10x lens. Both smartphones offer digital zooming, with the S23 going up to 30x and the S23 Ultra using space zoom to get up to 100x. The main 1x lens sensor combination appears to be one of the biggest differences between these two models. The main sensor for the S23 is a 50MP 56 sensor, whereas the S23 Ultra's is 200MP and slightly larger at 3. Although both models have very high-resolution sensors, the standard output for images is 12MP thanks to pixel binning. While both offer a 24mm focal length, the S23 Ultra's has a slightly wider aperture of f1.7 compared to f1.8 for the S23. The S23 Ultra's main lens also has some better focusing tech, including multi-directional PDF, laser AF. The S23 has dual-pixel PDF. Both the S23 Ultra and S23 have OIS in the main lens.